Right now, on highways all over the world, you have these Fortune 100 companies, and they are spending billions of dollars to ship well, absolutely nothing.
Yeah, it's wild. Like literally nothing.
Exactly. I mean, 91% of heavily loaded trucks cruising down the interstate are actually full of empty air. So, welcome to another deep dive. Today's mission is a warehouse reality check.
It's a big one too.
It really is. For you listening, we're exploring a hidden world that quietly dictates the global economy, the prices of the goods you buy, and even the carbon footprint of our supply chains. We're talking about warehouse load optimization.
Which I know it sounds like this super niche logistical issue, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the ripple effects of how we cram pallets of toilet paper or dog food into the back of a 53-foot trailer,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that impacts practically every single product you interact with.
Oh, 100%. And we are pulling back the curtain on this using a stack of data, some really fascinating case studies and internal architecture documents from Provision Eye. Specifically, we're looking at their level load and auto O2 software.
Right, the stuff actually fixing the problem.
Yeah. We are going to see how deeply inefficient our physical supply chain really is and how algorithmic optimization is trying to fix it. Okay, let's unpack this.
Well, that 91% number you mentioned is honestly the perfect place to start because it completely shatters this illusion that most people have, of a perfectly oiled, hyper-efficient global supply chain.
It really does. I was looking at this survey in the materials, this one out of Georgia. They inspected 156,000 heavily loaded trucks, and they found that a massive 91% of them were nowhere near their maximum legal capacity.
Not even close.
But I have to stop here and ask, I mean, these are massive corporations, right? They have entire floors of supply chain analysts. How is it mathematically possible that they are routinely, intentionally leaving that much empty space in their trailers?
Yeah, it's a great question. And it basically comes down to human limitation and a deeply ingrained culture of what they call tribal knowledge.
Tribal knowledge.
Right. You have to imagine the reality on a loading dock. It's not this sterile, calm laboratory. It's a chaotic, high-stakes game of physical Tetris. And the forklift drivers are fighting against the clock.
But wait, it's just simple subtraction, isn't it? Like, the federal maximum gross weight for a standard truck is 80,000 pounds. You weigh the empty truck, subtract that from 80,000, and boom, there's your payload capacity. That doesn't require a supercomputer.
In theory, yes.
Mm.
But that assumes every truck weighs exactly the same.
Oh, right.
Yeah, in reality,
Yeah.
the physical equipment varies wildly. Let's say you have a fleet of refrigerated trucks showing up at your facility. To the naked eye, they all look identical.
Sure.
But their the weight of the empty truck itself, that can fluctuate by thousands of pounds based on the manufacturer or the age of the cab or even just the size of the fuel tank.
Oh, wow. So you don't actually know what your payload capacity is until the specific truck rolls up to the dock door.
Precisely. You might have one outlier truck in the fleet that's just unusually heavy, and that leaves it with a legal payload capacity of only, say, 40,000 pounds.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, 76% of the trucks in that exact same fleet can safely and legally carry 44,500 pounds.
Okay, I see the trap here. If I'm the warehouse manager and I'm pre-staging all this inventory on the floor before the trucks even arrive, I have no idea which truck I'm getting.
Exactly, you're flying blind.
So I have to plan for the absolute worst case scenario. I have to set a hard ceiling at 40,000 pounds for every single load, just to ensure I never accidentally overload that one heavy outlier.
That is exactly what happens.
Okay.
To guard against that one outlier, or even just to create a buffer against a loader accidentally putting a slightly heavier pallet in the wrong spot, companies purposefully leave thousands of pounds of capacity on the table.
Wow.
Yeah, they routinely scale their loads down by upwards of 10%.
It is going, a few hundred pounds over the limit really that catastrophic? Like, why leave 10% of your truck completely empty just to play it safe?
Oh, because the penalties at a weigh station are absolute nightmares.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
If a truck rolls onto the Department of Transportation scales and a red light flashes, everything just grinds to a halt. The DOT doesn't just write you a ticket and let you drive away. They will physically ground that truck.
Wait, so it's just stranded on the side of the highway?
Yes, stranded. And the company faces immediate fines. Then they have to scramble to dispatch a second empty truck to that weigh station.
Oh, what a mess.
And it gets worse. They have to hire local lumpers, temporary workers, to physically drag pallets off the overweight truck and put them onto the rescue truck. So you're paying emergency labor rates, you are ruining your carefully choreographed dock schedules back at the warehouse, and most importantly, you completely miss your delivery window to the retailer.
And if you miss a delivery window for a massive retailer like, Walmart or Target, they hit you with massive chargebacks.
Exactly.
So from the warehouse manager's perspective, paying to ship a little empty air is basically an insurance policy against a logistical disaster.
That's a perfect way to put it. But the total weight is only half the battle.
There's more.
Yeah, the real reason forklift drivers intentionally underload trucks is because they are terrified of running afoul of this incredibly complex patchwork of state axle laws.
Right, because the federal limit is a flat 80,000 pounds gross. But states actually govern how that weight is distributed over the wheels.
Exactly. The federal standard allows 34,000 pounds on a tandem axle. But states have specific mandates on the physical dimensions of the truck to prevent wear and tear on their local roads. And the most notorious of these is the California Kingpin Law.
Wait, why does California care about the physical dimensions if the total weight is the same? Is it for, like, the turning radius on tight mountain roads, or is it purely infrastructure protection?
It's heavily focused on the turning radius. They want to keep these massive vehicles from cutting corners too sharply on smaller state highways and coastal roads. But it also dictates weight distribution on bridges.
Okay, that makes sense.
Right. So California dictates that the rearmost axle of the trailer can be no more than 40 feet from the trailer's kingpin. And the kingpin is the metal pivot point where the trailer actually locks into the truck cab.
Hold on, so it's literally just a playground seesaw.
Yes.
The kingpin is the pivot point in the middle. If I force the rear wheels to slide forward to hit that 40-foot mark, I'm shortening the board on one side. The weight on the front, the kingpin gets lighter, and a massive amount of weight transfers directly onto those rear wheels.
What's fascinating here is how accurately that playground physics translates to 80,000 pounds of freight. When you slide those cannons forward to comply with California law, you drastically alter the physics of moments.
The physics of moments.
Yeah, that's the engineering term for force multiplying over a distance.
So imagine you're a 19-year-old forklift driver, right? You've got a 2,000-pound pallet of dog food on your forks. The truck driver is tapping his watch, impatient to hit the road. And you are somehow supposed to mentally calculate the physics of moments.
Right, while driving a forklift.
Like, you have to figure out how placing this dog food 2 feet further to the left will magically impact the weight distribution on a set of wheels 40 feet behind you.
It is functionally impossible for a human to do in their head. The math is far too complex. You can't just guess.
No kidding.
Because if you're off by just a few inches, that rear tandem axle could easily exceed the 34,000-pound limit. And that's even if the total truck is perfectly legal at, say, 75,000 pounds.
Which triggers the exact same way station nightmare we just talked about. Stranded trucks, rescue vehicles, and furious retailers. So the human reaction makes complete sense. The loader just stops putting pallets in the truck.
Exactly.
The empty space is quite literally the cost of human limitation.
That is the perfect way to summarize it. That 91% underloaded truck statistic isn't a sign of laziness. It is a desperate survival tactic by warehouse workers trying to navigate a system that demands complex physics calculations on the fly.
But this brings us to a massive contradiction. I mean, we live in an era of unbelievable technological advancement. We have software running every inch of the modern enterprise. If human math is the problem, why aren't the software systems simply talking to each other and spitting out a perfect, legally compliant map for the forklift driver?
Because of the software silo problem. The supply chain industry has heavily invested in brilliant technology, but these systems operate in total aggressive isolation. They're categorically blind to what the others are doing.
Let's map out that conflict for the listener, because the tension here is wild. You have the ERP, which acts as the financial and inventory brain.
Right.
You have the TMS handling the physical transportation, and you have the WMS running the floor logic. And they are essentially in a three-way standoff.
Exactly. So the ERP might look at regional inventory levels and dictate that 50 pallets of paper towels need to move from Chicago to Dallas today.
Yeah.
It sends that demand down the chain.
Okay, makes sense so far.
But the ERP is totally blind to the fact that the WMS in Chicago is currently drowning. The WMS knows it has 0 dock doors open, and it doesn't even have enough forklift drivers on shift to move 50 pallets.
Meanwhile, the TMS is over in the corner, acting completely independently. It gets the signal to book a truck, but it might secure a carrier whose equipment physically cannot hold the cubic volume of what the ERP just asked for.
Or maybe it books a truck with that heavy tare weight we talked about earlier.
Right, so when the physical truck finally bumps the dock, reality just crashes into the plan. The inventory doesn't fit, the labor isn't there, and the load isn't legal.
It's like the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing, and the feet are walking right off a cliff.
Which is exactly where Provisiony's level load software attempts to act as a bridge, right? Because the traditional method is to lock in these rigid replenishment orders with trucking companies days or weeks in advance.
Yes, and that rigidity is fatal. Consumer demand is wildly volatile. By the time that truck actually arrives next Thursday, the paper towels the ERP originally demanded might not be what the Dallas warehouse urgently needs anymore.
Oh, like maybe a weekend promotion wiped out all their laundry detergent?
Exactly. But because the order was hard-coded in a siloed system a week ago, you ship the paper towels anyway.
It reminds me of making a reservation at an exclusive restaurant.
Oh.
Yeah, like if you want a table at a Michelin star place, you have to book it a month in advance just to secure the physical space. But they don't force you to order your entree a month in advance.
Right, right.
You secure the capacity, but you delay the specific inventory decision until you actually sit down at the table and look at the menu.
That is precisely how level load breaks the silo. It looks at a 30-day forecast of demand across the entire network. Then it communicates with the TMS to secure the carrier capacity using temporary dummy codes.
It books the table.
It books the table. The trucking company knows they are picking up a full load on Thursday, but the specific items aren't locked in yet.
And because they delay assigning the actual physical inventory until the last possible second, they can look at real-time data from the WMS. They replace those dummy codes with whatever the absolute highest priority products are right at that exact moment.
Which completely transforms a company's on-time in-full metrics. You are no longer shipping a truck full of low-priority items just because a siloed ERP guessed incorrectly 2 weeks ago.
You're actually shipping what's needed.
Right. You are balancing the entire network simultaneously. You're smoothing out the massive spikes and crashes in warehouse labor. And you're ensuring every single mile you pay a carrier for is utilized for critical freight.
Okay, so level load solves the planning silo. It gets the right trunk to the right door, and it knows exactly what critical items need to go inside. But we still have that 19-year-old forklift driver, the ticking clock, and the California seesaw physics problem.
We do.
So how do we actually put the boxes in the truck legally? Here's where it gets really interesting.
This is where the execution side takes over with their load-building engine, AutoO2. And, we need to draw a sharp line here between legacy load builders and true algorithmic optimization.
Right, because legacy software does exist, but it uses basic sequential algebra. Like, if you tell a basic algebraic program to load a truck, it operates with severe tunnel vision. It basically just asks, does this fit, and is it under the weight limit?
Yes, a legacy system uses what we call a greedy algorithm. It grabs the heaviest pallets first to establish a base, and it just shoves them in the front. But it doesn't look ahead.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Yeah, so halfway through the trailer, a pallet of fragile potato chips comes down the belt. The legacy system suddenly realizes it has no safe place left to put them without exceeding an axle weight or crushing the product.
So what does it do?
It just stops. It throws an error code, and it leaves the loader to figure it out manually.
Oh, that's useless. But AutoO2 doesn't work sequentially, right? The sources say it maps the entire 3D space backward before the first box is even touched. We're talking about running over 300 variables simultaneously on every single pick. What kind of constraints is this AI actually juggling?
It's insane. It accounts for the exact tare weight of the specific truck backing into the door, the cubic space, and every single state axle along that specific routing path. But it goes far deeper than that into physical stackability and chemical compatibility.
The don't put bricks on top of eggs rule.
Exactly. The software knows the crush resistance of every single SKU in the database. It knows that a pallet of canned soup can support 2,000 pounds, but a pallet of paper napkins will collapse under 500 pounds.
That is incredibly detailed.
It even understands odor contamination. Like, you cannot load a pallet of premium dog food directly next to laundry detergent, or the food absorbing the chemical smell and just gets rejected by the retailer.
And it even factors in orientation, right? Whether the warehouse prefers to load pallets straight in, or if they need to pinwheel them, turning them sideways to save a few inches of space.
Right, while still ensuring the forklift tines can actually extract them at the destination. It is literally playing 3D Tetris with real-world physics, structural engineering, and chemical compatibility rules, all in a fraction of a second.
But the brilliance of the system isn't just the math in the cloud, it's how they solve that final inch of execution on the warehouse floor. Because you can't hand a forklift driver a spreadsheet of 300 variables.
No, you would paralyze the loading dock instantly. They wouldn't know what to do.
So Auto02 translates that massive mathematical solution into a dead simple step-by-step 3D visual diagram, and it sends it directly to the worker's RF scanner.
This is where the Riviana Foods case study totally blew my mind.
Right, Riviana, the major rice distributor.
Yeah. When they implemented this, they didn't just save money on freight. They cut their loader training time by 75%.
Wow, 75%.
Because you don't need a veteran loader with 20 years of tribal knowledge to intuitively guess the axle weights anymore. The visual diagram tells the loader exactly which pallet to scan first. It says, pick up the brown rice and place it at the very front left. Now grab the white rice, place it on the front right.
It turns a high-level engineering physics puzzle into simple visual instructions.
Exactly. So a brand new employee on day one is instantly executing mathematically perfect, legally compliant loads.
The tribal knowledge doesn't just walk out the door when your best supervisor retires. You literally just follow the screen. And because the system guarantees the axle weights are perfect, you don't need that 10% safety buffer anymore. You can push the load right up to 79,900 pounds with total confidence.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the financial impacts of eliminating that buffer are staggering. Take Unilever, one of the largest consumer goods companies on earth. By deploying this algorithmic optimization, they pushed their truck utilization to 98%.
98%. They practically wiped out the empty space entirely.
And by doing so, they cut their total transport costs by 4 to 8%.
That is massive at their scale.
Oh, we are talking about tens of millions of dollars dropping straight to the bottom line simply by doing the math correctly. Kimberly-Clark had a similar revelation. They used it to reduce the variability in their shipping network by 60%. The chaos of unpredictable loads just vanished.
But there is another layer here that we cannot ignore, and it's the environmental impact. The data shows that Provision A's optimization eliminated 88,000 trucks from the road network.
88,000 full semi-trucks that simply didn't need to be dispatched. All because the freight was intelligently packed into the existing capacity.
Which translates to reducing CO2 emissions by over 40,000 metric tons. It perfectly highlights a truth about logistics, I think. Economic efficiency and environmental sustainability are not competing interests.
No, they really aren't.
They are exactly the same thing. Packing trucks tighter directly and immediately eliminates carbon emissions.
It's a profound realization. I mean, we spend so much time debating the timeline for deploying electric autonomous fleets, right?
Yeah, all the time.
But the absolute lowest cost, lowest emission way to move product today is simply to stop burning diesel fuel to transport empty air. We don't need a futuristic vehicle to lower emissions right now. We just need our software silos to communicate.
It's an incredible shift in perspective. Okay, let's recap our journey today. We started with the jarring reality of a 91% inefficiency rate, this ocean of empty space on our highways, caused by human fear of state axle laws and a reliance on tribal knowledge.
A very expensive fear.
Very. Then we exposed how the three-way standoff between ERP, TMS, and WMS software silos created blind spots that crippled execution. And finally, we learned how AI-driven algorithms solve this. They use dummy codes to bridge the planning gap and 3D visual diagrams to guide a forklift driver through the seesaw physics of a perfect load.
We're basically witnessing the transition from human guesswork to algorithmic certainty at the very final, most physical layer of the global supply chain.
So what does this all mean? I want to leave you, listening at home or on your commute, with a final thought to mull over. We just spent this deep dive analyzing how the world's most sophisticated multi-billion-dollar companies were blindly accepting a massive, costly, empty space in their operations.
And they accepted it solely because their different departments and software systems refused to talk to each other. They optimized their own little silos, but failed in the real world.
Exactly. My question to you is, what invisible empty space are you carrying around in your own life or your own business? Where are the communication silos in your daily workflows causing you to underload your true capacity? Maybe you have your own version of the California Bridge formula, a phantom fear that is making you play at 10% too safe, leaving your best potential sitting on the loading dock. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the hidden mechanics of the supply chain. Keep questioning the systems around you and stay curious.